In the heart of ancient Baghdad, the air was filled with the sweet aroma of spices and the melodic calls of merchants selling their wares. Camels trod through bustling streets, carrying carpets, perfumes, and dates. Amid all this excitement lived a young man named Sinbad. He was known for his curious spirit and polite manner, always eager to learn about lands far beyond the city walls. From a young age, Sinbad heard tales of caravans crossing scorching deserts and ships braving mighty seas. These stories sparked his imagination, planting a seed of wanderlust in his heart. When his father passed away, he left Sinbad a modest fortune. Many would have settled down comfortably, but Sinbad's dreams of exploration were far too strong to ignore. Determined to follow his calling, Sinbad used his inheritance to purchase fine cloths, exotic spices, and other treasures that he could trade in distant lands. Day after day, he negotiated with merchants, carefully packing the best quality goods to impress potential buyers abroad. "Are you sure you wish to leave Baghdad?" an old friend asked. "You have everything you need here." With a confident smile, Sinbad replied, "True, but the world is vast and I must see it with my own eyes." Soon, word of Sinbad's plans spread through the neighborhood. Neighbors wished him luck, their eyes filled with both admiration and concern. Finally, Sinbad hired a small caravan of mules to carry his cargo to Basra, a famous port city where majestic ships awaited. Upon reaching Basra, Sinbad was captivated by the endless array of ships. Some hailed from India, carrying rare gems and elephants' tusks. Others returned from Africa with golden spices and stories of wild beasts. In this kaleidoscope of cultures, Sinbad felt truly alive. Eventually, he found a sturdy vessel captained by a man known for his fair dealings. The captain inspected Sinbad's goods and recognized their high value. Delighted to have a respectable merchant aboard, he agreed to take Sinbad across the seas. On the morning of departure, the sky was painted in soft pink and orange hues. Sinbad stood at the prow, watching the city fade behind them. A mixture of excitement and nerves danced in his stomach. Although storms occasionally battered the ship, Sinbad faced them bravely, determined not to let fear overshadow his thirst for discovery. Several weeks into the voyage, a sailor atop the mast called out, "Land ho!" Sinbad peered across the waters to see a small island covered in tall grasses and dotted with palm trees swaying in the breeze. The captain decided to anchor nearby to replenish their supplies. Sinbad and the crew rowed ashore, laughing at the notion of solid ground beneath their feet after so many days at sea. Once on land, the sailors split up to find supplies. Sinbad wandered along the shore, marveling at the clear water and the gentle breeze. Suddenly, the island trembled. A deep rumble echoed beneath their feet, and the ground began to tilt. Sinbad lost his footing, rolling into the sand. Looking back, he saw the source of this chaos. The island itself was actually a gigantic whale resting on the surface of the sea. The whale thrashed its tail, churning the waves as though they were boiling. Many sailors managed to scramble back into the rowboats or swim toward the anchored ship. Sinbad, however, found himself swept away by a sudden torrent. The roaring waters tugged him under before tossing him back to the surface. Through the chaotic spray, Sinbad glimpsed the ship's silhouette in the distance. The captain, fearing further disaster, had to pull up the anchor and steer away. Drifting on the plank, Sinbad struggled to keep hope alive, praying that fate would guide him to safety. Daylight faded into night as Sinbad clung to the plank. He drifted beneath a sky studded with stars, each one reminding him of the captain's navigation lessons. The wind howled in the darkness, and waves battered him from all sides. When morning came, the sun scorched his face and thirst gnawed at him. As exhaustion set in, Sinbad spotted something on the horizon. Slowly but surely, the gentle currents nudged Sinbad closer to shore. Moments later, he awoke to soft voices and the cool sensation of water trickling across his lips. "Rest, my friend," Omar said. "You're safe now." As Sinbad recovered, he learned more about the people who rescued him. Intrigued, Sinbad shared the tale of his near drowning and the island that turned out to be a giant whale. "Travel with us," he said. "We'll see you safely to a port where you can find passage home." When the ship finally arrived in Baghdad's harbor, the familiar skyline filled Sinbad's heart with warmth. Friends rushed to greet him, astonished that he was not only alive but brimming with new stories. Grateful to be home, Sinbad never forgot the raging sea or the whale that nearly cost him his life. And so ends Sinbad's first great journey.